It's the tube going down my throat that hurts the most. The constant beep of some machine or other that's measuring my heartbeat's also pretty annoying. But I suppose I should be grateful that it tells the nurses and the doctors that I'm still alive. Alive? Lying face down on a hospital bed with this damn tube down my throat, gasping for breath. This is living? I was living just a few days ago, fully living. I travelled into the city to my empty office just whenever it was. None of us can really say what day it is anymore, and I certainly can't since they brought me into this place. It started with a cough and a bit of a fever. I think my family even joked about it when it began. But within a few hours I was struggling for breath and the ambulance was called, and I've been here ever since. Of course, I haven't been able to see them. I had a FaceTime call with my wife and daughter. One of the nurses held a smartphone wrapped in plastic at the side of this bed, and I just about managed to turn my head to see their blurry images on the screen. I think they were crying, I don't know. All I could feel was this damn tube scraping against my throat every time I moved my head or tried to say a word. I couldn't speak. But what would I have said anyway? Bring me chicken soup? I love you? Goodbye? I hope they don't make me do that again. It's so painful. I can't remember how I got this. Does anyone? Was it on the almost empty train that carried me to and from the city on my final day of work? Was it the station kiosk where I bought the chocolate bar to eat on the way home? That guy who sat opposite me on the homebound train, why was he so close? I mean, he was wearing a mask, but there were so many other empty seats. And why didn't I say something, or just move? Or maybe my daughter picked it up at her school and brought it home. Or the people we had dinner with in that restaurant a week or so ago. I don't suppose it matters. I mean, if it was my daughter, then maybe my wife has it too. I hope she doesn't end up here. I wouldn't wish this on anybody. COVID-19. Where did you come from? Yes, I know you came from China. We all know that. But you could have come from anywhere. And in truth, you've been around in one form or another for a very long time. We thought we'd made ourselves and our world safe from the likes of you. But in just a few months, you've shown us, all of us, just how vulnerable and weak we truly are, how susceptible, how frail is our grasp on life. And what is this life? What's that biblical thing? 70 years and 10? Well, I'm well short of that, but I suppose I can't complain. I guess I've had a good life. I have no concept of the poverty and deprivation that is the daily lot of so many millions on this planet. I've never had to cower in a bomb shelter or watch my home and my family be ripped apart by whatever is the latest manifestation of humanity's seemingly infinite capacity to inflict destruction and death upon itself. Damn this tube in my throat! And the infuriating beep of that machine, is it getting slower? I suppose I should be grateful for this aspect of human ingenuity. We've cultivated the capacity to preserve and save life, as well as to destroy it. That reminds me of one of those Yom Kippur readings. It might even be Yom Kippur today, for all I know. How we all bear equal responsibility for the bad things that happen in our world. We cannot simply blame it on them. We do not see ourselves as others see us, still less as God sees us. Self-love deceives us. Pride makes us unwilling to admit the truth about ourselves. Our motives, we like to think, are good. Our weaknesses excusable. Our misdeeds due to forces beyond our power to control. We would do better to recognize that it is we who cheat, distort and destroy. We, and not they. Better to acknowledge that if society around us is ugly with selfishness, falsehood and violence, the fault must lie not in our stars, but in us. They. Who are the they that we try to blame? The ones who make the decisions, who enforce the rules, who, when challenged, reel off a list of numbers that purport to show how much of this they've provided already and how much of that they've already done, and then blame someone else. The ones who exploit and devastate the world that's supposed to belong to all of us. The ones who yearn for power and cling to it, who abuse it, who deny the need for change in our societies and stoke the conditions and the divisions that blight them. Those who deny the rights of so many others because of their race, their religion, their nationality, their otherness. Maybe COVID-19 is here to teach us a lesson about who we are, about how we should behave more humbly, treat one another and our world with some respect. But this virus causes pain, causes heartache, causes death. It's a hard way to be taught a lesson. Obviously, I'm not going to make it to any more Yom Kippur services. It might even be Yom Kippur today for all I know. Well, I guess I have an answer to that annual question, who by fire, who by storm, who by earthquake, and who by plague. That beep is definitely slowing down. Perhaps that's symbolic of the fading grip that we humans have on our environment, on our lives, on our world. But really, of course, it represents the ebbing away of whatever it is that keeps me living. Are those tears forming in my eyes? Is that a lump in my throat, or is it just the tube desperately trying to get my lungs clear of whatever this infection is? Suddenly, I can sense the presence of others. I'm pretty sure that someone has been here the whole time, sitting silently alongside me, watching over me, trying to protect me from whatever this is. I haven't always been aware of them. Indeed, I hardly noticed their presence. But there are others now. I open one eye and turn my head slightly. Damn this tube! But I want to see what's happening, what's going on around me. I hear voices, but I cannot make out what they're saying. I see blurred figures draped in robes and without faces. Angels? Is this how it ends? The angels come and carry me away? But the part of my brain that still seems to be functioning reminds me that these are doctors and nurses. These are people who devote their lives to caring for others. And in truth, my life has been blessed with many such people, not just medical staff. Never mind the horror show being conducted by the rich and powerful in our world and ruthlessly inflicted upon us. Each of us has angels in our lives. Each of us has so much for which we should be grateful, even against the backdrop of tragedy and horror, of selfishness and greed that surrounds us. And so my final image is as these seemingly heavenly figures crowd around me and take measurements of my fading strength, or of those people who've loved me and whom I have loved. My wife, my daughter, my parents, close friends with whom I shared special moments. They pour uncontrollably into my mind, filling me with an immeasurable mixture of joy, gratitude, and regret. Damn you, COVID-19. Damn you, whatever there is in our world that removes from us the possibility of love, of mutual caring and compassion, of the companionship of which we are capable and which enriches and ennobles our humanity. But you are an inevitable part of life. This much we have learned from this disease. But what we have also learned, what we must also learn if we are to survive, is that there are angels in our lives. There are those who value not material things, but who yearn for justice and peace, who seek to educate others rather than to exploit them, who care about each other and our world rather than just themselves. And my final thought, as the angels around me move to switch off the beeping machine and at last remove that tube, is how we must appreciate and work to cultivate the relationships we have with all the angels we encounter in our lives. And neither they, whoever and wherever they are, nor COVID-19 will ever take that possibility away from us.